Rise of the Beast is the newest movie in this live action series of Transformers movies. It doesn't really have that much connection to the Michael Bay movies. In fact, I don't know if it has any connection to the Michael Bay movies. That's one thing I've wondered with this movie and Bumblebee is like, okay, are these prequels or is this like a full-on reboot? Maybe it's both. This movie takes place in the mid-90s. The Autobots are trying to find this Cybertronian artifact of sorts. Along the way, they meet up with these two human characters, Noah Diaz and Elena Wallace, along with the Maximals, who are these Transformers that turn into animals. They soon quickly realize that Unicron is coming for Earth. He is sending his Terracons, led by Scourge, to come do the dirty work for him. And now they've all got to find a way to work together to stop a bunch of bad stuff from happening to Earth, and ultimately getting the artifact before these Terracons do. Kind of the formula we're used to seeing in these Transformers movies at this point. There's an artifact out there, the Autobots are trying to get it before the bad guys do. As a kid, I lived and died by Transformers. I absolutely love this franchise. I collected and played with every toy. I watched the cartoon every single day after school. I would read whether books or stories I could get my hands on. And even the Michael Bay Transformers movies, I tell people all the time, those are my guilty pleasures. Alright, I love those movies as a dumb, stupid teenager, and as I've grown up, the little teenage part that lives in my brain still finds enjoyment in those stupid things. Although I will defend the first one to my death. That one's actually good. And then we got Bumblebee a few years back, which was a more grounded, personal, lower scale Transformers movie that I felt really worked. When I saw that, I was just like, okay, if we're gonna go in this sort of direction with Transformers, we might actually be able to get the Transformers movie franchise I think a lot of us are really hoping it has the potential to be. And now, having seen Transformers Rise of the Beast, I stand by that. I think this franchise is continuing to move in the right direction. First of all, let's start with the human characters because, yeah, as you know, similar to all the other Transformers movies, one of the flaws that these Transformers movies do is they give more screen time to the humans, not as much to the Transformers. But I will say this much, if you're gonna give excessive screen time to the humans, you gotta make good human characters. And we have a couple of really good human characters in this movie. Right out the gate, Anthony Ramos as Noah Diaz, I really liked his character. He's ex-military, kind of works alone, doesn't really know how to work with a team. He's really struggling to provide for his own family. He's trying to help his single mom and his younger brother who's sick. In a lot of the other Transformers movies, the lead protagonist was marketed as this underdog, down on their luck kind of person, so you gotta root for them. In this one, though, they do a really good job with the character of Noah Diaz. Because in this one, you buy into it. You see what he's dealing with. You see how he's struggling to find a job. He wants to do the right thing. And you also see in him, it's like there are areas for you to grow. It's like you're down on your luck, but there are areas you could make yourself better. He quickly becomes someone you can root for, and I think that's great. And I'm gonna say this right now, when it comes to him and the dynamic with Mirage, voiced by Pete Davidson, those two had great chemistry. I'm a big Pete Davidson fan. I was really excited to see him as the voice of a Transformer, and he does great here. Because Mirage, he's kind of like one of those younger soldiers, so he struggles, obeying Optimus and obeying commands. He kind of wants to do his own thing. He's more of a freestyler. He's just a big comic clown the whole time. But Pete Davidson's humor really worked, and it really played off well with Anthony Ramos' character. It's like initially you don't feel like they're gonna work together, and as the movie goes along, you see a real partnership and friendship forming between the two of them. I also really like Dominic Fishback in this movie. She plays this young sort of archaeologist, up and coming. She discovers some information that's really key to what the Autobots are looking for. But they really wrote her character well. You really feel like she's contributing. You feel like she does in fact know something that the others need. She felt like a really necessary, important character. Also, when it comes to characterization in this movie, I really like the direction they took Optimus Prime in this movie. Because in every entry we've seen Optimus Prime, he's just, this stern, great, amazing leader. I think Optimus Prime is one of the greatest characters in history. He's just the perfect leader. You always believe the Autobots had a chance with him leading them. Peter Cullen, as the voice of Optimus Prime, I hope he can voice him forever. I realize that won't happen, but that's the only person I ever want to voice Optimus Prime. But what I really like seeing in this one is you see the effects that the war for Cybertron has really had on Optimus here. He's a lot more stern. He's a lot more kind of cold-hearted a little bit. He doesn't care for the human race all that much. His priority is to take his crew and get them back to Cybertron. He wants to go home. His main priority is not really with the humans. And that's where you see a sort of understanding that's eventually going to develop between him and Noah Diaz. Eventually you see how he kind of develops a reason and a passion to protect the human race. In this one, it doesn't seem like the whole motto he always had, which was freedom is the right of all sentient beings, that hasn't really hit him yet. And I like seeing that sort of evolution in his character throughout this movie. Also, the Maximals, I thought these were really good characters. I'll say this much right now. The Transformers Beast Wars cartoon, that's one of the cartoons that I didn't see. That was a little bit before I was watching Transformers. So I'll say this much. If you're a big Beast Wars fan and you want to see just, you know, the Beast Machines just doing their thing and just really being in the spotlight, it's not so much that. I guess one of the other flaws I would say that's in this movie is you don't really see a whole lot of them until much later in the movie, but when they show up, their presence is known. But I really liked Optimus Primal in that sense. You know, he's also this great leader. He and Optimus Prime both kind of want the same thing. They both know they have to team up if they're going to accomplish what they want to accomplish. Like, we're so used to Optimus Prime being the forefront, the leader of the good guys. It was nice to see another guy here just doing his thing and see what another great leader can be. By the time those two get on the same page, you just look at the two of them and you're just like, these two guys leading them, evil has no shot. Getting into some of the flaws that I had with this movie though, I will say this much. I think this movie does suffer a little bit from what previous Transformers movies have suffered from. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, the human characters get a lot of screen time. They get the majority of the screen time. They are in the forefront of the movie. So what does that mean? Not every Transformer in this movie really gets a chance to stand out. Some of them are just here for the sake of being here. Like with the Autobots, it's Optimus Prime, it's Bumblebee, and Mirage. RC, Wheeljack, and one other Transformer whose name I can't remember was in this. They're kind of just more in the background. They're just kind of there. They don't really do a whole lot. They don't provide much. They just exist. Same with the Maximals. Optimus Primal and Airazor, they really stand out. Cheetor and Rhinox, background characters at best. And even the Terracons. Scourge, voiced by Peter Dinklage, he is, you know, the big baddie of this movie, and I really liked him as a villain, but his whole crew that he has with him, I don't really know anything about these characters. It just makes you kind of miss how it was done with the actual animations when it was like, okay, you know, the human characters are here, but they are side characters. The Transformers, they are in the forefront. So yeah, that's what I'll say right there. I wish some Transformers got a little more development. Speaking of Transformers I wish got a little more development, okay, one of the flaws I had going into this movie was that they revealed that Unicron was going to be in the movie. And when I saw that trailer, when I saw the marketing posters that had Unicron in them, I was like, I didn't want to know that. I mean, how epic a reveal would that have been if it's like, nope, Unicron is the villain of the story, boom, you never knew this whole time. Like, the audience would have went insane. That's what I was thinking going into it. In reality, though, Unicron, he's not in the movie for very much. I mean, when he is in the movie, it is really important, and that's when the shit is really going down. But I kind of wish Unicron was the villain of the movie. I mean, in this movie, Scourge is the villain of the movie. I wish Unicron was that. Granted, I do believe that Unicron will probably have a larger role in future movies. Granted, if there are future movies, which I believe there will be, I really hope they bring Unicron back. I really want Unicron to stand out more. Also, I will say, this movie had some funny moments, some chuckle-worthy moments, but this movie does also suffer from the Transformers humor that doesn't always hit. The kind that's a little too cheesy and a little too over the top. Not so much in the Michael Bay sense where it's absolutely cringe and you are just shaking your head in just disbelief that someone thought that was good writing. It's nothing that bad, but there are a few moments that were having me roll my eyes and I just didn't find funny. I'm like, okay, that was thrown in there for the sake of kids. I think visually this movie is very well polished, and the action in this movie I think is really, really good, especially towards the ending. The ending, we get a big action scene, and it's not like Michael Bay Transformers movies where, you know, a bunch of action was going on. You're just like, so much is happening. I can't tell what's going on right now. This one was a lot more cleaned up. It was a lot more polished. It was a lot more focused. Like, I could tell everything that was happening. It was so cool to see the Transformers fight alongside each other. In moments, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that scene in Avengers Endgame where all the heroes just come and face Thanos' army, and you got that one swooping shot of seeing all the heroes just doing what they can do. You kind of get a moment like that in Transformers Rise of the Beast, and it was awesome to see. I would say the final battle, it's pretty intense, it's a lot of fun, it's surprisingly emotional. That's an area I definitely need to say right here. These newer Transformers movies, they're going for a lot more heart, and that's not a bad thing. You care a lot more about the characters, the Autobots, the humans, and the relationships that are getting built. Like, you're way more invested in these guys than you were in the last ones. Like, when people die or Transformers might die, you feel it more, and I love that. Also, I gotta tell you right now, the ending of this movie, they teased something that could be happening in the future with Transformers, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it got my audience jacked. I was hyped. I saw them just like, are they actually gonna pull it off? Are they actually gonna go there? They find a way to pull it off. It's gonna be a fun-ass time at the movies. I can promise that right now. So all in all, Transformers Rise of the Beast, it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Anthony Ramos, Dominic Fishback, they were really good human characters. It was good to see them provide what they could provide to the Transformers. Optimus Prime, I liked seeing him more as this leader who's kind of, you know, lost his faith a little bit, doesn't care as much about the humans, but is gradually growing to do so. This movie made Optimus Prime more of a character, and I think that's a remarkable feature. Mirage was a great new addition. Bumblebee, how can you not love him? The Maximals were fun. Scourge was a good villain. I do wish a few more Transformers got a little bit more spotlight. I will also say, as far as human characters go, I wish the younger brother in this movie got a little bit more development. I really like the relationship that he and Noah Diaz have. I would have liked to have seen him a little bit more in this movie. He's not in it as much, and that surprised me. But I will say, visually it looks great. The action's a lot of fun. And it's a movie that I think will satisfy fans. If you're a Transformers fan, I think you will walk out of this movie very happy with it, glad it was made. If you're not a Transformers fan, I don't think this is the type of movie that maybe will fully get you on board. But having said that, if you get dragged to it somehow, I still think you can enjoy it. And in the end, I hope this movie does well because I really want to see more Transformers movies like this get made. If they do, I actually think we could get the Transformers movie franchise we've been wanting this whole time. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. And as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Till all are one.